roll call. Starting down at that end,
John Gaspar.
Margaret Fett.
Richard Curry, we are missing right now Pete Belay, absent. Okay.
What about Leon?
And Leon. Well, I'm just reading the names here. Approval of agenda. Any additions? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add under new business number 4, oldest Maplewood resident.
Okay, anything else? Staff.
Staff presentation under I-1 would be MCC banquet room names.
What was that?
MCC banquet room names under staff presentations.
Anything else for anybody? Okay. Move of approval of the agenda.
I so move.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. Okay. Approval of the minutes for 2019, February 5.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
John made the motion to approve. Second.
I'll second him.
Bob Cardinal made the motion, or the second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Okay. Approval, or new business E. 1, local designation of a new site.
Thank you, Vice Chair and Commissioners. So one of our goals, one of the HPC goals for 2019 is to designate an additional site locally or National Register. So we have an option to do National Register or locally to the Maplewood Heritage Landmarks. Currently, we do have the Ramsey County Poor Farm Cemetery designation application being reviewed, and that's over at the county. Previously, for designation, we've asked the owners of three additional places if they wanted to participate in this program: St. Paul Regional Water, the Tubman Center, and Ramsey County Fish Creek Archaeological Site. And we were told, and we did not have a positive. None of those wanted to pursue it at this time. That was done, about a year and a half ago. So tonight, what I'd like ask the commissioners to do is to review the list of historic structures and site, and to select 2 to 3 sites that the commissioners would like to pursue for designation for this year. And then also to appoint a commissioner to assemble the information on that site and help prepare the nomination form. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to the commission to go through that list of structures and to pick up a couple sites that the commission may want to work on designating.
I don't have to go first.
We should,
Yeah, the gavel's been transferred.
Okay, you're on number one.
I'm on number 1.
Yep, a new business
All right.
designating or picking a site for a new
What am I doing with this?
site to designate.
Ah,
And there's also a couple additions to the agenda.
oh, okay. Oldest Maplewood resident?
Yep.
Good, good.
The oldest.
Oldest.
And the banquet room, number one in the staff report, name.
Oh, banquet wouldn't name, okay, okay. Banquet room name, okay. Thank you. All right, so we've previously asked owners, you're going to say something, Ginny, about,
yes, so in your packet, you have the updated list of potential historic sites and structures. So I encourage the commission to go through that list, see which sites they're interested in potentially designating. I do encourage the commission to pick 2 to 3 sites, since not everyone's going to want to designate.
let's see,
Should we try getting the Priory to, if they'll do it this year?
the Tubman Center? Yeah. Well, we already did a lot of background on that at least,
Well, that's
right?
pretty much done. They were just wanting to finish some of their work before they
Okay,
come to us.
all right. Well, I mean, obviously that one would be high on the list. It's been
That and
before.
maybe Forest Lawn?
Have we heard back from Forest Lawn or the Tubman Center?
We never heard back from the Tubman Center.
Okay,
We never approached Forest Lawn.
I guess we could try, what was the third one? I've already forgotten. Got the
The
list?
Water Department, we did hear back from them,
The which one?
the Water Department.
Oh, what did they say?
They were not interested. They had a lot of improvements coming up. So at that point in time, they were not interested,
Okay.
but, you know,
All right.
should try them again in another few years.
Well, at one time, the Tubman Center was pretty interested, right? If I remember correctly. You know, they seem to be, if the commissioners remember or not, I recall them, Mr. Cardinal?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Forest Lawn, do we know how old that place is?
It's old enough, I can tell you that. Somewhere I got it, actually, I had it in here somewhere. Oh, Bob Jensen was here, he'd tell me right like that, you know. It's certainly within the criteria of 50-plus years. I mean, that's,
I think it was 1850, or right around in that
oh,
area.
we're talking the building.
Yeah,
You're
but
talking the Forest Lawn Cemetery or the mausoleum? Both. Well, yeah, the cemetery is older than the mausoleum. Mausoleum is, I want to say from the,
Is that cemetery
30s?
that old? I can't believe it. It's a,
I don't remember. I'd have to look. It's pretty old, 19th century old, but I don't know about 1850s though. It seems pretty old.
It might be
Sounds
all I
pretty
know
old.
is Cecil told me that the guy that owned it is buried there. But he left here and he went down to California and started another one down there, same name. And then
Okay.
came back, he got in trouble down there and he came back up here.
that's a famous one down in California.
Forest Lawn?
Yeah,
Where all the-
that's where, was
The
it Michael
stuff is.
Jackson or one of them is buried?
Okay. I guess I'll have to get back to you on how old they,
Well,
I think we have them in here.
I think that's the one we should focus on. I mean,
Forest Lawn?
yeah, I mean, if it's 18-something,
Well, the mausoleum is an 18-something. We're not talking the whole cemetery, we're talking the mausoleum, right?
cemetery, well, I think it'd be the cemetery.
That would be
including
much,
the mausoleum.
that would be harder. to Do the
The
cemetery.
mausoleum would probably be easier.
Yeah.
Because they don't, like they say, the National Registry doesn't really do too many cemeteries.
Mausoleum's definitely, yeah,
Take this out. The mausoleum's not gonna go away. I mean, it's pretty well stuck.
Yeah.
What about the old City Hall in Frost?
Oh, the
That's got a background
Philippine Center?
into Minnesota, I mean,
Oh,
into
you're
Maplewood,
talking the old town hall.
the old town hall.
Yes.
And the city owns it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what about, it's been moved before, so it can't be in a National Historic Register. What about if they moved it to the Rush Line as in, and used it as a stop at the Rush Line?
Okay. Well,
I think we've talked about this site a lot before, about how damaged it is on the interior. It can't really be salvaged. I don't know, Bob Jensen's going to do it's going to come to our next meeting
Okay,
and
is
do a
that April?
presentation at the
Okay.
April meeting on the old town hall, and when it was later became the Gladstone House. And the city's going to be demolishing that building in April, so the city's not going to be supportive of a nomination to do that. They've evaluated that building, and they've, decided it's not worth trying to preserve. There's asbestos and everything in it. It's been added on to and altered so intensely. It doesn't look anything like what it once looked like.
But there are companies that will do it if they had to, if the price is right.
well, maybe the station could emulate the look of it. That's possible. You know.
I was to the Moose Lodge a couple Saturdays ago, and they're building a new lodge up on D and
Yep.
Hazelwood.
Yeah.
The inside looks just like a square building. The only thing is, it would be nice to emulate or what have you, whatever building goes there, or cement the brickwork.
Where are they building a new one?
County Road D
In Hazelwood,
and Hazelwood.
one of those corners, up by Conifer Ridge. I mean, it's in the right here on E2, attachment 1. There's some good information. I did take a good look at the Gladstone house, took lots of pictures. You can hear water pouring into the basement, not today, back in January.
Yeah.
It's a train wreck of a building. But that said, Bob and I are going to be there hopefully when they demolish it, because we want to see if there's anything underneath the cedar shakes they put up. See if there's anything of the original town hall. I mean, if there's something to salvage, we'll salvage it. But it's really only 3 sides of a building originally that they took off the back to make it bigger. Bob actually wrote a really good history in the Maplewood Historical Society newsletter about it. So I'm looking forward to his presentation on it, because it is a sad thing, because it's really, really old. I mean, it's 1870s building, so.
You said you and Bob are going to be there, it'd be nice that all of us, if we could make it, be notified so that we could be there also if we could.
You can see what,
Because why should one or two, everybody should be able to get in on it.
Well, yeah, they're not limiting it to those two.
yeah, no, we just want to know when they're going to do it so I can, get off work to
But
do it.
There's
You
the
know.
faction that they'll let you and whoever, and nothing
Well,
else
as
will go.
far as I know, they can't stop you from driving by on Frost Avenue, so, I mean, it's not like they're going to do it at 3 in the morning.
I don't drive by Frost Avenue.
Bike
all
by
the
Frost
time.
Avenue or walk by Frost Avenue.
That's the other end of Maplewood.
Other end of Maplewood, that's downtown Maplewood you're talking
No.
about there.
Not when you're from the good end of Maplewood on the
Good
other
end of
side.
Maplewood. Oh, here we go. All right. But to get back on the main topic, the mausoleum definitely is. Who's been in the mausoleum? You got to go into the mausoleum and take a look at it. There's still spots available, I'll say too. Yes.
Yeah, one whole big crib down the basement.
You can have a crypt in the basement if you want. It's very almost spooky in the basement of that thing.
For the
There's a
whole
reason why nobody-
family.
Yeah, the whole family could be in there. I don't know how much it costs, but it really is neat, and the stained glass is spectacular in there. Very well done, and it's kind of a neat place to, usually when you get buried, all you have is a marker, right, and maybe a Christmas wreath. Well, in the mausoleum, you can have a little glass case and have all your little history right in there. So kind of neat. I recommend it. Anyway, but yeah, could we contact the owner and see if they're,
Well, Pat Pat,
if you know the owner, then
He's
go.
not the owner.
the manager of it,
Well, the manager knows the owner probably. So,
Pat Hogan.
well, if you have a contact,
Go for it.
we'll reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but it'd be good.
He'd go for it.
Yeah, well, I hope so because it's kind of a
You
neat.
don't, Pete, so you don't want to include the cemetery?
No, I wouldn't do the cemetery right now. That would be more complicated. It's vast.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of land. But the mausoleum has already been written up in the Ramsey County
Yeah.
guide, and we have some more things on it.
That'd be good.
It's neat. Go take a look.
Yeah.
Any excuse to go wander around in a cemetery, right? So okay, so that and the Tubman Center, I guess, is the other one. Maybe reach out to them again.
and the other one that we could do would be the KSTP transmitting,
I saw that as an example.
yeah. That's the
Maybe
Art
that we'll save
Deco.
that. Maybe we'll save that in case we get denied. Maybe that'll be like our plan C if A and B don't work.
I got a whole bunch of stuff.
You got a whole bunch of
circled on
Cs?
my thing as we hit things.
All right. So okay, 2. Is that-
Okay,
Do we need
so
a
it sounds
vote?
like staff will contact Tubman Center, and
Okay.
and Mr. Cardinal will contact
Yeah.
Forest Lawn Cemetery.
Pat Hogan.
Yeah,
You want to do it, Rick? Okay, I'll call.
I'll do it.
Pat.
Cool. That'll
I'll-
be exciting. I can't wait to
Yeah.
learn more about both of them. It's they're both neat buildings. So
And I'm assuming the commission is just interested in local designation for both?
yeah, right. Yeah.
That's, Jenny, that I think is what we kind of started out with all the time, and then we said, once we get a list of local designations, then we'll vote from them, we'll take and move it to, see if we can get it national, because otherwise you're biting off too much to chew.
Yeah. Okay, sounds like a plan. So are we on E2? Documenting historic structures in the Gladstone neighborhood, or as I say, downtown Maplewood.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So development in the Gladstone area is a city council priority, and at the December 2018 HPC meeting, Mike Martin from our planning department did a presentation on sites that the city has purchased for redevelopment, including a vacant lot on Frost, 1160 Frost, the Old Town Hall, and Moose Lodge. As I mentioned earlier, at the upcoming meeting in April, Mr. Jensen will do a presentation on the Old Town Hall. So these are the areas that the city is targeting for redevelopment. The crossroads there is Frost going east-west and English going north-south. So one of the commission's goals for this year is to document the history of important buildings in the Gladstone area. And so I pulled together a list of questions for the commission to consider. Number one, what is the main goal? Why do we want to do this? Just to be really clear about how we want to use the information. What buildings do you want to document? Do you want to do all buildings over 50 years old? Or just buildings in Gladstone that are on our list that you just looked at of potentially significant structures? What kind of documentation does the HPC want for each of the buildings? Who will do that documentation, and how will the research be used? And I think that was it for questions. So those questions are all listed in your packet, so I encourage the commission to take those questions one at a time and come up with answers for them, and that will really guide our work on this goal during the rest of the year.
Well, one thing that I know Bob Jensen brought up is all these parcels, if we're looking at E2-1, what might be almost more interesting is what's underneath when they scrape the top off, because there's a lot of interesting history maybe underneath the ground. Especially the English, the Moose Lodge site. There's at least 3 old buildings that were there before the Moose Lodge. So in each case, it could be something interesting, you know, when they dig it up. Because I'm assuming they're going to have to really dig when they
Probably.
clear it. So in any case, all 3 of them. And of course, there could even be a swap of that parking lot, right?
Yes, so, yeah, I'm not quite sure where you're going with it. I do understand this is something we need to note for later, when that kind of work begins. This particular goal of the commission's was to document the history of important buildings. So, you know, the commission should really look at, what does that mean? What is that, is it the whole Gladstone neighborhood?
Oh, I see.
So
You're thinking
remember
the
that-
whole thing. Okay.
This was the
All right.
goal of the
Oh,
commission,
okay,
so I just
okay.
included that map in case the commission decided, hey, these are the places that are likely to go away first, maybe you want to focus on
Okay.
those, but maybe you really just want to focus on the most important ones that you know of. So the questions in your packet on E2, page 2, are, I'd love it if the commission was willing to go through those. I think it will really frame your work on this goal if you can provide some answers to those questions
The
tonight.
thing is, if anything is buried, we don't know what's under there. There
No,
could be a
it's
whole
just,
lot of stuff that we don't know, that we're not going after one area that could be underneath.
I mean, but I see what Ginny's saying too, with the focusing on what's going to be gone first. You know, I mean, and for me, I'd roll in what used to be there as part of it.
Yeah,
You know, for each site, like the English site, Frost there, the Moose Lodge, you have the Gladstone Hotel, you have the AFU, you have the Tom Joyce's gas station. I mean, and that's just what I can come up with now. So it'd be good to have a list of everything that was.
so I can bring you a list of I can bring you a map with addresses on it, and you can mark them up and see
Yeah.
which ones you want to do, but
Yeah.
I need to know scope. Is it just the area where we're going to be doing redevelopment, or is it the whole Gladstone neighborhood?
It's a big project, the whole.
So, and this
Gladstone
is the
neighborhood.
commission's goal, so this is up to you to figure out, how do you want to approach this goal? How much do you want to do this year? Do you want to do it in segments? Do you want to just take 3 or 4 important buildings and work on those? It's completely up to the commission how you approach this goal.
How much of this is going to be included in the Rush Line historical?
That's a great question. So that's another first question that we should be answering. It would be, I'm sure it would be right near the line and adjacent, so
Yeah.
that's great. A good question. We can try to find the answer to that.
Before we start wasting a lot of time on it, it'd be good to know if they're doing, then we can help them out.
I'm guessing they're not going very far from the corridor. I'm
Okay.
thinking but I will I'll get the answer to that.
Yeah, be good to know what.
Would it be a good idea to have who's in that department that's heading up this redevelopment or what have you, come and, because they know, probably answer a lot more definite questions.
I don't know.
And I'm not sure that they're ready to do so. I think they're working on gathering their history, and I know they've been tapping Mr. Jensen's knowledge of our local history. I did check in with Mr. Martin this evening to see if he had received anything on history or archaeology from them, and he has not. I'm guessing they don't want to give us anything until their report is pulled together and
Do you
completed.
know when that'll be?
I don't. He did not know.
Okay.
So, but we can ask.
Curious if they do did Bob Jensen already give the Rush Line corridor information?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so they've already
I mean,
been-
he's been in touch with them for several months.
Okay, so they've already been working on this already.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I guess we should find out, first find out what they've already got,
Yeah.
and then we'll focus on what they didn't do, right? I don't know. I mean,
There's a lot of unanswered questions because, yeah, we can do the top, what's on the top, but we don't know what's below the surface.
well, I'm pretty sure the town hall is not in the corridor study.
Well, they're gonna redo Frost Avenue,
Yeah,
make
that's
it
right.
a
That's
26 foot roadway, which is gonna be basically a driveway.
Are they doing anything for the white, or the redoing of Frost? Are they doing any
Frost
study?
is being narrowed quite a bit, so it will not impact the buildings.
I mean, but are they gonna do anything study-wise, looking into the properties when they do that? I mean, are they gonna?
No, because, they're taking the road and they're going to narrow the road.
Yeah.
So, some of the existing shoulder is going to become sidewalk and turf, so.
Next question then is, I know they're putting a trail and a sidewalk, right?
Yes.
Maybe we can get in on the signage gig with, when we do this, is when it gets to Gladstone. Which side's the sidewalk, which side's the trail? I forgot.
I believe, I
think the
could be
trail's on
wrong.
the
I'm pretty
south
sure this
side.
trail's on the south and the
And the
sidewalk's
sidewalk's
on
on
the
the
north.
north.
Yeah.
Okay. So something to think about if we do this is, maybe we can provide signage if they want to do a sign. Because I'm assuming the trail and the sidewalk go right through downtown Gladstone, right? I mean, when they redo Frost, the trail's going from Wiper Avenue to
Yes.
English, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Why,
So,
why, now here's another question. Why do they need a trail when they got the Gateway Trail 2 blocks north of it?
well, if you ever ridden your bike on Frost Avenue, you know. I've done it many, many times. It would be nice to have a designated trail for bicyclists on Frost Avenue. And
You go over to the Gateway.
well, it doesn't get you to Borchards.
Yeah, it does.
Well, it's
You
out of the
go
way.
down to the Bruce Fentel Trail.
Richard, you already told me you don't go on Frost Avenue. How do you know all this? All right, I'm done having fun with you.
I
All right.
know.
So
I'm
anyway,
having-
I'm just
I'm
trying
gonna
to
have
think.
fun back.
Yeah, you're having fun back. So I would say focus on. I mean, I don't know how much time we got to do it, but I would focus on the items that'll be gone first. I mean, obviously the town hall.
So Bob will be presenting that, so you'll have
Okay.
some documentation on that. I'm just asking so I can bring something back to the commission next, so I will look into the rush line and get an answer for
Oh.
you, but if you'd like me to bring maps back next time or something for you to work with, I'm happy to do so.
When you document it, like with the Moose Lodge, would you like take pictures of the outside, or do you want to go inside?
I'd
take
love to
pictures?
go inside.
Take
Yes,
both- all of it?
absolutely.
It's nice in there, just that they got a few water leaks.
Well, I would like to document fully inside and outside of any building like that,
Okay.
you know. So, I mean, hopefully we can do that. That's part of it. When was it built, kind of thing? You know, I don't know, did we ever find out when the Moose Lodge was built? I remember we were asking, maybe Bob figured it out, but but that's the kind of stuff we should figure out is.
You can look it up in Ramsey County property.
Property
And they'll
tax?
tell you when it was built.
Oh,
The reason
you know how to
they're
do that? Can you do that?
agreeing,
It's very easy.
the reason they're agreeing to move and what have you is, one, they don't have as many membership, the membership has gone down, and it's costing too much to maintain the big building.
Sure.
But you gotta look at something else too. When they build another building, it's not gonna be cement and block and then the brick on the outside. It's gonna be steel studs and maybe something else.
Okay.
It'll blow down easier.
Okay. Well, luckily, we don't have to worry about that building. Maybe in 100 years, we'll worry about the other one, but,
But I mean, to keep,
you know,
keep
but,
the neighborhood looking similar, they could,
so basically, what we need to give to to work on is the addresses, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can look it up in the property tax,
I
right?
Staff said, we've done some of that work, and I'm just waiting for you to tell me exactly the scope of area that you'd like. I wasn't going to bring that here tonight because I wanted to hear how you'd like to approach this project. But
Well-
if you have I've pulled dates on just the core where
Okay.
there's likely to be redevelopment, not beyond that.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's the start, and then there's probably, what I would say is the oldest buildings in Gladstone would be the other ones to do. Would be,
Yeah, so Mr. Gaspard, do you know how to, I don't know that we can do a search on address, I'm sorry, on date in Ramsey County.
We used to have that accessible, I don't know.
Well, you can,
You can go and you can look at you can look at each individual address. I don't think you can do a search by date.
no, you don't have to have the address, because you can pull it up, and it'll give you a map, and you go right to
That's-
that building, and you click
Right.
on it.
On it.
And then you can,
No, that was my question. You have to go building by building. If Pete says, you have to go building by building. You know, the other thing we can do, though, is we can look at our 100-year homes, our,
That
any
would have 'em
homes.
on there.
That has, it won't have the commercial buildings, but we'll have all the homes that are older than 100 years.
I could do that whole corner
Could,
and
that'd
do
be
each
kind of
one
good
and
to,
and find out
Yeah.
the
Could you-
dates they were built.
that would be great, because like Gladstone Fire Hose, or no, sorry, Oswald Fire Hose, and then the Mike's LP. Those are the
Mike,
two.
was it Mike's LP, the grocery store?
Yeah.
So that would be a building that I would think would be want to preserve as what it is now somehow.
Well, first things first, let's get the information on it, and then we'll work on the rest later. But yeah,
Yeah,
that would
but
be
by the
good
time
too,
we
I
get
think.
ready to work on it, they'll have it tore down or sold.
Okay. Well, it sounds like, Richard, you want to work on the history of Keller Grocery Store then. Would you be willing to take that on?
Well, I'll look into it,
Okay.
because that was where the Gladstone, and the thing is, when I looked up in the telephone book, Maplewood only had one fire department. The rest of them were all community centers.
Okay. Well, if you find out anything on the Keller Grocery Store, love to hear more about it. But in the meantime, John, if you could look up the dates of the buildings, it'd be good to have that, and we can,
They even tell you what the property tax is and.
oh, I
how it just works.
suppose.
You get the whole thing.
Oh, you can get everything. Okay, that'd be kind of fun. But I suppose we'll make it simple for now and just focus on the ones that'll be maybe torn down sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. After John has the dates.
Well, then there won't be anything historic in that area.
Well, as far as I know, they're not tearing everything down right now, so I think we have some time. There's other buildings, when you look through it, see what we can find. I'd be kind of curious, too, to find out how old some of those things are in there, so. So it sounds like we really got Bob's history of the town hall. So what we really need then is a history of the Moose Lodge.
And Steve said they had all the paperwork for out there at the farm.
For
On
the
that.
Moose Lodge?
Yeah,
Okay.
he kept saying that, but
Well, we'll have to contact, Bob's watching, so, Bob, you might need to see if there's any Moose Lodge documentation there. What did you see it? What is
no,
there?
Steve told
Okay.
me.
Well, that'd be
He
wonderful
was
if there was
planning on-
something.
He was planning on coming tonight.
Okay. I'd love to find out more about the Moose Lodge, because we tried to look, and all I had was a postcard.
I thought there was an article in the Historical Society, one of the newsletters, a few years ago.
Oh, maybe there was, okay. Okay, well,
So,
It looks like we're gonna be the architects for the new Moose Lodge.
oh, okay,
And so we should be able to get inside of there
okay.
and maybe talk to some of the people. Maybe
Okay.
they have more of a history down in the basement or whatever of us.
Well, they might,
Yeah.
yeah. Mr. Cardinal?
Thanks. John, did you say you're going to be, or you might be the architects for a new Moose Lodge?
Yeah.
I didn't know that that was the reason they were gonna do that.
They can't.
Somebody's
Oh, they
mic
can't
is
hear.
it on?
Huh? I
Listen
got
to your
it.
mic, so you can hear.
You gotta talk this direction.
So they're gonna build a new
Yeah.
Moose Lodge? Oh, okay.
Yep.
I think that Moose Lodge gathers all the Moose members from all St. Paul.
It used to be on Payne Avenue, right? It's starting to come back to me here. Is that how they wound up in Maplewood?
Old enough to know that.
What, the
Pete.
No.
Payne Avenue Moose Lodge?
There was a American
Elks.
Legion
It was
and
Elks.
we have Elks down there.
Sure there wasn't a Payne Avenue Moose Lodge?
It's right at the
Well, you know who will correct us?
Bob.
Bob. So, I hope, Bob, you really are watching. You're going to owe
That
us
was
all this.
before your time.
Bob, doesn't mean I don't know about it. It's because I've never been in the Payne Avenue Moose Lodge, as far as I know. But I might have a matchbook from it.
Elks.
Elk.
I'll look. I'll look. The challenge. Okay, so,
So that's new information that John is
well,
supplying.
congratulations,
Yeah,
John.
John, that's
I hope you
great.
incorporate history in the design of the new Moose Lodge. What can we do? No, just like
The red brick.
red brick. I think a giant moose. Envisioning giant moose.
And
Maplewood
we
landmark.
could get more moose members.
Yeah, there you
The-
go. So should we all become moose members then?
What's the requirement? I don't even know about.
I'm sure there's a fee involved.
We're supporters.
Anyway, getting off topic here a little bit. But so at least two structures we'll have histories of, one way or the other. And then we'll have maybe more from John. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how old everything is. Because I kind of, in my head, I kind of got an idea, but it'd be neat to see how old they really are.
Hey, Pete, you'll be older than you.
Well, that's probably the case. That's probably the case. So, even the old Maplewood Foods building, I kind of have some idea, but it'd be kind of neat to have the date and the Richards.
Maplewood Dairy.
Yeah, that's another one. That's getting a little farther on it's on the other red circle, I guess. So, we'll start there and see what we can do, I guess. Anything, Ginny, what more would you want us to?
No, that's good. That's great.
Now, a lot of this was done up in the old Maplewood Reviews celebrations, the 10-year or the 25-year. So they had the Maplewood Dairy, they had a bunch of buildings.
So that's the kind of documentation the commission will go to and
Yeah.
go search those files to pull this information together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, don't get me started on Gladstone. I got books on this stuff, so I brought it just in case. Gotta have it.
Well, then you should have when everything was built back then.
Well, the internet was a little sketchy back in the 90s. I didn't have this property tax records at my disposal. Google search was not around yet. So, all right. So, anything more to do with E2? Sounds like fun. How long do we got to get it done?
You have all year. This
All
is your
year.
goal. Yeah.
Well, we'll start losing them
So-
some this year, so get our pictures earlier rather than later.
Yep.
I suppose. Moose Lodge, we gotta get the pictures then. So whenever, I'll go too. I'd love, or any of us could go to the Moose Lodge. Do you wanna go to the Moose Lodge?
I'd love to.
I was
Okay.
at a party at the Moose Lodge.
Well, been to many parties at the Moose Lodge. Yep. So,
Of all the old firefighters.
my dad was a moose for his whole life, including the orphanage. So a lot of background there for the Moose Lodge. All right, so E3, documentary photographs. Sounds interesting. E3, where's my E3?
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So HPC had two goals related to documenting, taking photographs. One of them was to photograph buildings in the city that are likely to be demolished, and the other was to put out a call for people to submit photos. And so the memorandum in front of you,
Yeah,
in your packet, has questions related to each of these to help the commission figure out how they want to accomplish these goals. So a couple questions that I'll read through and then turn it over to the chair. So the first goal was photographs, to photograph buildings that are likely to be demolished. And so once again, I think it helps to identify why are we doing this? What do we want to do with these photos? Is this project focusing on commercial, non-residential properties, or is it just any old properties that are likely to be demolished? Was it the commission's intent to photograph things because they're going to be demolished, or because they have historic significance, or just because they're at least 50 years old? And then, is this project a continuation of the previous documentation done in the 90s and the 2000s? So this is the work done by the Historical Society and Commission, Ann Fosberg and everybody. I think I had a picture of that in your packet for you. This. So is this what you're considering under this goal?
I think that's what they were looking at, is to continue to see what buildings we don't have in that report.
So the actual goal that the commission stated was to photograph buildings that are likely to be demolished. And you can take this goal wherever you want to go with it. I just want to remind you that the discussion during goal time was people were nervous that things were going to be demolished, and they wanted to get pictures of them. The city doesn't know when things are going to be demolished until we get a permit. So those we've got a handle on. But I had a sense that commissioners were worried about, had a sense that certain things were going to be demolished and wanted to get out to take pictures. But it could be just a continuation of this notebook and all that good work that was done before.
The other thing I saw in this thing, it was basically get pictures of buildings that might be demolished. Maybe we should put more focus on education of buildings we'd like to see them reuse in some other way, if not demolish, and it would have to be more of a PR putting out to the public that way. So they're not just, well, we don't want the building this way, we're gonna tear it down.
Well,
Well, somewhat like maybe Hastings have done, they haven't torn down, they just retrofit some of the buildings to go with whatever they have going on in there.
for part, I mean, the example here is, this was kind of we were kind of going off of what Ramsey County did for their significant features grant they got in the 80s. So that's kind of the template we were using for this. But what we found out, so we already got most of the historic structures. So what we're losing, which is interesting, is for instance, my son's kindergarten teacher, this is about, 15 years ago, had pictures of Maplewood on her wall. And now that I think about it, they're all gone. All the pictures she took, all those buildings are gone. So one was Blockbuster Video, one was Skipper's. So I'm thinking more of like a streetscape, not Google per se, but like I'm trying to think of filling in holes that this doesn't cover. And Ann took a lot of pictures. So maybe what we'd have to start with is what Ann did. I mean, there's a lot of them.
So pictures that aren't in the notebook.
Pictures that are in the notebook. Now, what I suppose first thing we should find out is, were her pictures all scanned? And Bob, of course, is probably going, yes. But I don't know. That'd be the first start, because she had a ton of these. And what we need to do is go over some of the path of what she did. What did she take? I'd like to know. I don't know. Maybe we'll need to have Bob bring some of them to see what we did.
Most of them are at the
farm.
Farm in the basement.
But
in the
were they
office.
scanned? Or are they just all pictures?
No, they're
they
in
scanned? Are they in
a
past
big note.
perfect?
Most of them are in that big notebook.
Well, I know they're in a notebook, but were they digitized? Because that's something we should consider figuring out first. Digitize what we got and then build from there, maybe. I don't know. So we can share them online or do whatever. We find out what we can do. Maybe Ann already took the pictures we need. We don't need to take more pictures of stuff that we already got a picture of, is what I'm trying to get at. And I don't know what we have.
Well, another approach would also be to look through our list of significant structures and make sure you have a picture of
Picture of
everything
all
on
those,
that
yeah.
on that list.
Yeah.
And you could start there.
Yeah.
So I think it would,
Did we ever put something in the review, the
Maplewood Living?
The Maplewood in motion, or the,
Maplewood Living,
yeah, living, about pictures? Do we
that's
do
the
that?
next topic on, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
next slide.
Okay.
Okay? So let's finish
getting
up
ahead of
with this
myself.
piece, though, about documenting buildings. So one option is for someone to go and go to the Historic Society, see what might be there that, that could be pulled and documented in the manner you see on the screen. Another is to identify from the list of historic structures what's missing, and then to go and prepare documentation like this for those.
Okay.
If this is in fact what the commission had in mind with, when you articulated a goal of documenting historic additional structures. And I do remember it was written to, because you were concerned about things that are going to be demolished.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just,
that's the main, like Deji Garden Center.
you never know. Yeah, is that in there? That's a great one.
It's still there.
Go get it.
But
Go
for
get
how
that
much
one.
longer is Deji going to be there?
He's not.
He's not, but the building's still there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something.
that'd be a great building to do. I don't
We
think
should
that's
have-
in Ann's book. so.
And see, that's the stuff we got to grab, and so when everybody's in their own areas of Maplewood, it'd be good to say, oh, we should take a picture of this. It's still there. Maybe we should get it. That's probably the main, or the first focus is on those things, and then
So how do you get together a list of those items?
those items. Is there a list of vacant buildings in the city?
I don't know.
Must be.
There has to be. Or not, I don't know. If there is, that's where I'd start. Where the vacant buildings are, that's where we start. Because that's probably your most endangered buildings, are the ones that are no longer occupied. So they probably have to get turned off something. Water, electricity, like Deji, is it still got, I mean,
The building department might know.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of,
Weren't those apartments or something?
huh?
Weren't they apartments?
No, it's a greenhouse.
No, but weren't there apartments on the side?
There's
Oh.
other buildings on, yeah, there's a building on the
there's other
side
things
that,
there.
there's a little,
I don't know.
some office.
I'm just saying we could start with that if we know. Yeah, that would be your most endangered properties then, probably the ones that aren't occupied anymore. So if you want to start somewhere, everybody can name a house or two that's
Is that
unoccupied.
vacant, actually?
I don't know.
Diggy's vacant?
Well, it doesn't look very occupied. I don't know. I don't know what the status is, but I just we were at the Dairy Queen the other day. And I got, oh, still looks intact, So
Old Diggies?
yeah, but it's
They-
closed. I'm just saying it's closed.
Yeah, it's closed. They had, what was it, Metropolitan, or there was some school in there, now they're selling.
Oh, I didn't know.
In where? In Diggy's?
Yeah, the Union, there was some, there
Well-
was a school that was, trade school that was in there. Now I saw it up for sale again.
Well, that's another thing, is to check the for sale list. I guess that'd be a good way to do it. What's for sale? That'd be a good way that'd be a building in transition to me, so one way or the other, it might be good to have a picture. Just trying to make our lives easier and just saying all of Maplewood,
Diggy actually was downtown St. Paul at one point.
So, I don't know. Anyway,
So, and is the goal to only do historic buildings that are over 50 years old?
the problem
I
with
mean-
that is we don't know what's over 50 years old.
But, yeah, but you can find out if you identify a building, the first thing you can do is look it up
Yeah.
and see how old it is.
What's your
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So, I guess we'll.
So that would be a minimum, unless it has real significance for some other reason, only buildings 50 years old or more.
No, I wouldn't necessarily limit it to 50 years old. I mean, I'm just thinking there's other things in Maplewood that's not 50 years old that are iconic for Maplewood that we should maybe at least have a picture of. Like the sign Maplewood right at White Bear and D, the metal sign. There's no way that's going to make it 50 years. But it's very iconic for the time.
Okay, so 50 years old or significant.
Or significant. That's
or
why I meant to kind of
iconic.
said
Because
significant
otherwise you
features.
guys are going to take pictures of everything.
Yes,
And
yes,
so that was one of
everything.
the questions on the list is, what is the purpose of this? It's to document,
I would
it's to
say document
structures.
significant features.
Okay,
Let's say
that
it
sounds
like
great.
that. Don't hem us. We can't be hemmed in by the 50-year. because we won't know.
Oh, because then you're age discrimination.
Well, there's some really neat things that Maplewood has done in the last 20, 30 years, I think should be, if we can take pictures of, it'd be nice. Yeah. If anybody wants to come up with a list, of things.
Where would you go to find this vacant?
Staff would have to do that. I would do that. I would ask our building
Okay.
department if we have that.
Fire department.
Fire department have it?
What?
That's a staff assignment, so staff would take care of that. I thought I
Is
heard.
that a big trouble for staff, or is it just a push
If
the
it's
button?
easy, and it's available, then we'll
good.
do it.
know.
If it's
When I
not
was on
easy,
the
well, I'll
fire
let you know.
department,
Huh?
We did all, on Parkside, we did all the buildings in our fire district. The other 3 departments were gonna do it. Now, whatever happened to, each truck had a catalog on all the buildings
Okay.
that they had. Whatever happened to that system is, I think they got computers now.
Okay. All right. That-
And did I hear someone was going to check for sale list?
Check for what?
For sale signs?
For sale signs? No. Anybody's got easy access to a realty list, I guess. I don't know.
For sale. I don't see why for sale.
Okay.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
not.
I don't see why either.
The vacant buildings
The
would be
vacant
a
building's more
better
important,
start.
and
Yeah.
Fire
I-
department might know.
Yeah, that'd be good to know
What was
what.
it?
The vacant building part would be
Yeah.
good to start.
And this group coming up with a list, because like Daggy's,
Yeah.
you guys are going to come up with a better list if we start working on it, so.
Well, we'll work on it.
So,
Well, the fire department is supposed to investigate each building every year for safety.
Okay.
So they
Commercial
should-
building.
Yeah, commercial.
commercial.
So they should have a list of anything that's vacant, because they don't want to have it dangerous to the firefighters going into a building that's
right.
vacant.
Okay.
Yeah, now, Pete,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is universal, but at St. Paul, they inspect vacant buildings, the fire department.
Okay.
That's their assignment.
Okay.
And they probably do it here
Oh,
in Maplewood. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when I was on, we pre-planned Maplewood Mall. And we did NCR, the building that you're in, all the big buildings we went in. We documented where their stuff to save was. They all, when we went in, they thought we were in for a fire inspection, and we said, no. It was just a document to let the guys know how to go around the place if it's on fire.
All right. Well, there's a lot of questions in this, and I don't know if we have the answers to all 10 questions.
I think we have some assignments now.
Okay.
And do encourage the commission to start, as you're driving through Maplewood, jot down buildings. And if you're interested in signs, jot those down, whatever you think is important, jot it down and everybody start a list, and maybe Pete will pull it together or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the commission wants to move on then to the other photo goal,
Yeah. Can't wait for this one.
so, excuse the typo. So we had a call for photos, was one of our goals, was just to put out a general call to residents in Maplewood for photos. And so once again, what is the purpose? You can see I'm into purpose and, and goals. I really want people to
You're into goals.
articulate, why are we doing this? Because that will, I think that will help shape what we do. So what type of photos is it that we might want to request this year? Do we want a certain subject, time frame, or neighborhood? Or are there certain photos that the commission really feels like we're missing and would love to have? Is this a project that we might want to repeat a few years in a row with various themes? And if so, let's think, what would this year's theme be versus next year? Once we collect photos, how do we want to use them? And then, should we accept both digital and print formats? Would HPC, would we make scanning and copying service available, or would we maybe partner with the Historic Society to help with that? Couple things, I did talk to Bob Jensen from Maplewood Area Historical Society. Something they are looking for is World War I photos for their World War I exhibit that they're doing this year that will go along with the Andrews Sisters musical out at the barn. So that would be photos from both the 30s and the 40s. One possibility would be to gather photos that might have a tie-in with some Maplewood City events and projects that are happening this year. Things like Frost Avenue reconstruction, at Edgerton Community Garden, where there's going to be a grand opening this year. Wakefield Park Building, there will be a grand opening. There's always 4th of July celebrations. But, another question is just, what are you guys interested in seeing more of? Oh, that was something different. Okay. So, questions for you to think about with the call for photos. We would do the call via our website and via our city newsletter.
I suppose if you're more direct, people will be more responsive to finding pictures.
Yeah.
It's hard to judge, hard to figure out what. So, we'd love to help the Historical Society out. World War I pictures.
That'd be hard.
It's gonna be difficult. 30s and 40s. If we haven't found them already, I don't know. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
toughie. Trying to think. Has anybody got any ideas? Any focus? The Edgerton Community Center, the Edgerton School has a wonderful history display. Have you seen that?
No, the school has it?
Yes.
Inside the school?
Inside the school. Oh. Yep. It's been a while.
Schools could be a theme. you
Yeah?
know. We do
Oh,
have some
yeah.
fun, we do have some really fun photos, old photos of Maplewood School
I-
scenes, but,
I almost brought a picture from back in the school day. Bob would have probably shot me though,
Okay. Which Bob?
at the end of the table.
Oh, is he in the picture?
I don't know. Our friends are.
Okay. Well,
farms could be a theme. Development of your neighborhood could be a theme.
Maplewood Mall. Love to have pictures of the mall.
So I think,
Very
then
few.
you're asking individuals for that, yeah.
I mean,
It's a- it's very-
it's a theme.
It's a theme, yeah.
Yeah.
They did have pictures of the mall in their office.
Well, I've heard about them, but I've never seen them.
Well, you gotta go down there.
I know. Well, can't always get there. Frost Avenue street reconstruction. There's things when they first paved it that you could use. There was a whole big special section of the North St. Paul Sentinel or Courier paper that had. So what you could do, now this would be hilarious, is recreate that Frost Street dedication when you do the new Frost Street. That would be kind of fun. You could take the template of the old. So what they had basically was a big party when they paved Frost Avenue. It was a big deal because there was no way to get east and west. It was all muddy roads between St. Paul and North St. Paul. It would connect to North St. Paul. So it was a huge interest, and it was cement. It was like a mile long. And so they put cornmeal on the street, and they had a dance on the street. There's no traffic back then. So it was a big to-do. And they had a special section in the paper. So that'd be kind of fun to do. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Bob's got, we got it. I can get you that. Maybe I'll highlight that a little bit here. Frost Avenue streets, that'd be kind of fun. Of course, it's been done one other time after that in the around 1980, early 80s it was redone. So the first paving lasted 50 years, I think. Yeah, about 50. The second paving lasted how long? 1980, 80s? So, we'll see how long let's see, this will be the third time. I don't know.
How much is down below it, that's,
Well, I wondered if the cement from the original Frost Avenue paving's underneath that. I don't think so. I think they repurposed it when they redid it, but it was pretty rough when they
well,
paved.
the street's rough now, what do you mean?
Well, yeah, it was rough
Yeah.
back, yeah.
I can't even drive down Lavender.
I thought I had to get out and pick up half my truck.
We're in the era of potholes, aren't we? So should we figure out what, we gotta pick a topic though, I suppose. We can't.
So you should figure, we can drop this goal if we don't want to do it.
No,
But
I
if you
wanna
want
do
to
this
do
goal.
it,
This is
I
awesome.
think and I'm not sure if we'll get it in the April Maplewood Living or the May.
Well, whatever, it doesn't, April or May, I mean, there's some good themes there. Frost Avenue, 4th of July, there should be pictures. I mean, only.
So the issue, yeah, so if there are pictures, then we maybe don't need to gather them. So maybe it would help the commission to identify, what are we going to do with these pictures?
Oh,
We're
what
just
are we
going to
gonna
put it
do
in the
with them?
art, are we going to put them in the archive? We're going to just
Yeah.
post one online, or?
Well, we could do both, can't we? I would say save it for the archive and put it online.
Okay.
Bob would want a copy, I'm sure. Jensen, not Cardinal. So, I hate to limit it too much because somebody has a box of really cool pictures. Oh, I have really neat pictures, but they're of this,
You can, we can always say that, hey, if you have other
Yeah.
great stuff,
I would say that.
talk to the, so.
I don't know, all of us here should have something, right? No? You have nothing? You never took a picture? No?
I'm on the other side.
No, Parkside's included. Yeah, even Parkside would be included. The South Leg especially be included. So all of Maplewood would be included.
So let's pick a theme that applies to wherever you are
All right.
in Maplewood. It's not a specific neighborhood.
Not a specific neighborhood, anywhere in Maplewood. That could be the theme. Has to be in Maplewood, though. Not St. Paul, not Oakdale, North St. Paul. Even though if we do get other pictures from those places, we can give them to their historical societies, I suppose. So, I won't say no to that either. But does anybody have thoughts on how to make it well, what you can do with probably okay, when are you going to advertise for the 4th of July in the newsletter?
We'll start early, but probably June will be the big advertisement.
Okay.
That's early.
So that would be one theme because you could tie it into the celebration. We have some pictures of the old 4th of July celebration, so you could put a picture in there and say, we're looking for 4th of July pictures at Wakefield, I suppose, because that's,
Yeah. Do you want to limit it to years?
That's where the fireworks are.
well, I don't know. I'm
And
just
the
trying.
cannon went into the wake.
Well, so just trying to think.
You could also just do Maplewood celebrations,
Yeah.
before
Maplewood
1960 something.
celebrations, because you got the fall festivals and the,
I think we have to pick a year, though.
We have to pick a
I don't
year?
want, we don't want to be, I think we have to pick a before a certain time or something.
we do? I would.
I would say
Okay,
any,
we'll have everything
year.
emailed to Pete,
You
sorry.
know what?
I'm
I'm
teasing.
fine with that. Put my email in there,
I'm
happypebble@hotmail.com. You know what? We've gotten so few photographs over the years. I would say I'm fine. Throw my email in there. They could spam me all they want with pictures all day long if they want to. Yeah, it's fine. No E in Pebble.
You're
That's
serious?
fine. I'm serious. If you got old pictures of Maplewood, scan them and email them to me. I'm all okay with that. If I get out, if there's actually that many people watching this where they'll email me,
I think if the commission doesn't mind, I'm going to go back and talk to our communications department, see if they need anything,
Yeah,
since
there
we
you go.
don't have
Yep.
anything specific that we're
Because if
thinking
we
of.
had pictures come in before that, you could put them up in, like, below, poster boards and display them
sure.
in 4th of July or whatever.
Yeah. Bicentennial. We had a big thing here. We had a huge party here for Bicentennial. So, that's almost 50 years, I suppose, 40 plus years now, so.
We should take photographs of before and after the frost. Element.
There you go. That's a good idea. Take a picture of Frost now the way it is. There you go.
Till the
Good
snow
thinking.
wait till the snow's gone.
Wait till, That's a little ugly.
Quick question, that
Actually,
might be
that's even
July.
better to show how bad a condition it is. If the biggest pothole on Frost Avenue, that's a good picture.
But that, if you show the potholes, that could reflect on the Public Works Department.
No, it's just
Maintaining
potholes. There's potholes all over town. Every town has potholes. We don't have the most, I don't think, so. And they're all working as hard as they can. I've seen them do it, so. Okay, does that,
Yep, so
Help.
if the commission's okay with it, I'll talk with our communication staff, see if they have a recommendation for us, and
I
we'll go
almost had a
forward with
picture
that.
this last snowstorm of Maplewood finest working. They got the, one plow truck got stuck.
that's,
the
to me,
yard.
I'm interested in that. That's a picture I'd save. Absolutely. Plow truck getting stuck, that's great. That's history. We don't have to wait 50 years to find that picture because it won't be there in 50 years. So, okay. I don't know. I feel like I'm maybe not helping. So, so are we moving on? Do we have an E4? We do. We do. What's the E4?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. E4 is oldest Maplewood resident.
All right.
Which we addressed 1 or 2 months ago,
Yep.
and we found one.
Okay.
We found our oldest Maplewood resident died last September at the age of 108.
108.
Whoa.
Wow.
Evelyn died.
So how do you spell her name?
We're not gonna go there.
Oh, okay.
But well, I could spell Evelyn, Evelyn. She died at Ramsey County Care Center.
Okay.
She was 108.
Wow.
And just for your information, the Ramsey County Care Center was established in 1854.
Yep. Was she a Maplewood resident for many years?
Was when she died.
Okay, but maybe she wasn't from Maplewood?
We don't know.
We don't know.
But we do know
That's
the oldest living Maplewood resident,
Okay.
and that's Myrtle. And
Great
she
name.
is 107.
107 at Ramsey County?
Yes.
Okay.
So is this just at the care facility, or is this throughout Maplewood? How do we know the oldest
This is
person?
throughout Maplewood. Now, this is,
How did you
we're-
find
we
out?
are, we are open to correction if we do identify someone that is older than Myrtle.
How did you find this information? How do you?
That is just, when you Google and you use a computer, I've learned from Mr. Gaspar how to do this.
Okay. I love how our commission meetings are shrouded in mystery. That's it.
So
Well,
let's salute.
when I used to volunteer up there,
Yes.
they used to help bingo. And they'd always say who the oldest one in the room would be. And I mean, that's what I remember. I don't remember anybody that old, 107. There was always at least 300-year-old people in the room, though. And they were kind of fun.
So let's salute Myrtle.
Myrtle, all
At
right.
107.
107.
And
How
we're
many-
open to correction if we have someone older.
Well, we got a couple other
Let
care
us know.
centers in the
Yeah, they're not ringing up to 107, they're ringing up 104.
okay, the other care centers.
Couple others are 104. There's not a handful, but almost a handful of 104s.
Okay, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
How many are in private homes?
we're up to correction here, so please spread the word. The Heritage Preservation Commission is looking for an older Maplewood resident than Myrtle at 107.
Do you know when her birthday is?
I do not.
Okay. Be fun to send her a birthday card.
Would.
All right. Well, thank you for finding out that. It's interesting, right?
Please bring forth older residents, and we'll keep track of them.
Okay. It's pretty good. One more question.
Yeah.
How many 100-year-old residents do we have in Maplewood?
I cannot lie, I do not know.
Okay, I thought maybe you found that out too. Be kind of curious, there's like 30 or something
Your
like that.
Gaspar will help me with the Google
That'd
search.
be kind of neat, if you find out how many. That'd be kind of just a nice little trivia tidbit.
Google still works.
Google still works? Okay. Did you get the weight too? All right,
Women
thank you.
don't tell that.
Okay. All right, that would be E4. E5, banquet room name?
No,
It's on the
I,
stand.
that's
Oh,
an
that's,
I.
that's an I?
Finished business you're
Oh,
going
sorry.
to.
Oh, I didn't know that was an I. Okay. What do we have next?
Staff presentations,
Okay,
banquet room.
banquet room. Okay, we still have the banquet room. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so this was a nice surprise for us that
Wow.
the 60 stories, our Maplewood Community Center asked if we could use the 60 stories to help name some of the banquet rooms upstairs. And so here's Heritage Banquet Room B, and it goes with the story of Sarah Wakefield.
Okay.
C is the story from 60 Stories about Phelan. In addition, they did the Dakota Room that had early Maplewood history, Native American history. They did the Woodland Room, which had the Alvarado Bell.
okay.
And that story. They did the Maple Room with the, that fun picture of Waldo Lubin
Okay.
planting the maple tree, and that story. They did Gladstone Hallway with a picture of the Gladstone Fire Station with Old Betsy. And they did the Heritage Room D with a picture of the Broomtrop Farm and that story. And Heritage Room A with a picture of, the old picture from William Coleman and his family and the old hotel there. So check it out sometime. So that was a nice surprise to get a little bit more use out of the 60 stories and to spread those stories a little further.
Whose idea was this?
It may have come from our city manager, but I just got a call one day from the community center that said, hey, we'd like to do this, can we use the information?
wow.
And the information is all copyrighted by the Maplewood Area Historical Society, so we checked in with them and got the okay.
Okay. That's
Did
really
we
cool.
get any royalties on it?
No, he just said, yes, you can use it. We wanted to get it out there.
What's funny with any of these kind of things, what I always ask is, when you're done with them, can we have the copies? Sometimes they give them to us, sometimes they don't.
So these are small.
They're
signs.
small.
Yeah,
These aren't a
page
big deal.
size. Yeah.
The ones at Kohl's were the big ones. Those wound up at,
They're at the community center.
Community
They're
center. Are they still up there?
currently, they took them down, but they still have them, and I think they were planning on putting them back
oh, good.
up.
There we got a lot of mileage out of those.
Yeah, they did.
Yep. We did that 2 other times, and when the business closes, so goes the pictures. So where Jake's is there was something before it, and we had pictures in there, and what's now a liquor store was a bank. We had pictures in there too on Wiper Avenue. So businesses change and the pictures. It's too bad because some of those pictures are really well done, but I'm glad the Kohl's ones, always people saw the Kohl's pictures over time.
I think we had something brought up at the board meeting about it, that somebody was gonna go get them,
Which ones?
the ones at Kohl's.
Well, no, they're at the community center. They were moved to the community center, put up high in the walls. If you walked in the hallway, they're up high, right? If I remember right? The big Kohl pictures?
They were in the entry, the
In the
downstairs
entryway, yeah.
entry.
Yeah, that's what I remember, yeah.
And so when they did some remodeling, or they removed them, but I
Okay.
was told they were probably going to put them back up.
Well, this is great. I'm
Yeah,
glad the
that's
60
nice.
stories are being used more. So, okay. Any other business I'm missing out on here? No?
Move for adjournment.
All right. Is there a motion for adjournment?
That's what I did.
Is there a second?
I so moved.
Then there is a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?